What's going on, everyone? Togevoir here, and today we're back for week 4 of season 5 of the NPL. Just quickly gotta get off a couple things. One, from now on you will no longer be seeing uploads from me on Sunday, though oddly enough this is not going to be up till Monday morning / afternoon, depending on when I get time to put all this together. But, so I'm late in that regard, and for that I apologize, but also we are deciding to move NPL videos in general to Monday because there's so much that goes on Sundays already. Obviously the GBA uploads, and then other leagues like the NPL uploads, and then days which we would normally, if those that do team builders, they usually have them upload them on Saturdays, which is when like the UCL stuff goes up. So it just makes a lot more sense to move it to Monday, and normally it wouldn't be the smartest thing to do because, you know, people work during the week, but with so much of the Pokemon community being out of school due to summer, we think that it'll still be pretty accessible. And yeah, so that's that. And then going straight into team things, as you can see, our little squad right here looks a little bit different, and that's because I have made a couple of trades. I have decided to trade away Hydreigon, as you may have noticed. I haven't brought it yet. I just really think with Garchomp it really just doesn't fit our team very well at all. Because all it would really have been functioning as a dragon type, and I already had other ground immunities, and so it just wasn't working out the way that I wanted it to. And so I traded that away for Blaziken, which gives me a fighting type, which I had Breloom before, but because, you know, as you'll see in a second, we got rid of Breloom in another trade. It gave us that, and it also makes it so Rotom Heat. I really like having an offensive fire type in Draft League format. I think it's a very integral part of any good team, or at least a fire type that can go more offensive. And the problem is that Rotom Heat, because it's also my only electric type, and because it's my only electric type, it was forced to be like my switch in 2 electrics, like as you see on his team, Thunderous T. But because of that, it also doesn't have to be my fire offense, so it's going to be a lot less pressure to do multiple different things, or I'm not going to have to make a big pregame decision about which role I want it to fill, or I can also bring kind of a fire spam team and bring both of them, but it just gives me a lot more options and frees up my team. The other thing is that my team was a little slow. After Mega Pidgeot, my next fastest thing was Garchomp, and around that speed I do have a lot of things. You know, I had Garchomp at 102, Jirachi at 100, and then Hydreigon at 98, so not slow Pokemon, but Pokemon that opposing fast sweepers could outspeed. So I traded away Breloom, getting rid of my fighting type, but now I have another fighting type in Blaziken, and getting Serperior, which I am such a huge fan of Serperior. I had it in my first season, season 2 of the NPL, and it worked very well for me, especially in one game where it actually went 5-0. Yeah. Actually my first draft format game ever, so I have kind of an emotional connection to Serperior, and aside from that, it gives us some very powerful special offense, which my team does not lack, and it is very fast at 113, so it gives us a way to outspeed base 110s besides Mega Pidgeot, which, as someone who really puts a lot of their time into speed training their Pokemon to be the most effective in any given matchup, that's going to make my job a lot easier in team preparation. But now that we have that all the way, let's start getting into our matchup versus Detroit Liepards, coached by Cipher. His link's in the description. He puts out some wonderful content, so make sure you go check him out. He's also in the NPL Major Pokemon League, along with Jolt, who replaced another coach. So check him out if you're interested in other leagues as well, and not just the National Pokeball League. So, anyways, I've said that a lot this video, but team matchup specifically, Mega Pidgeot just right off is a huge threat. The only thing that can outspeed it is Noivern, and to be honest, I'm not really expecting Noivern at all. I know that he likes Noivern a lot, especially Scarf Noivern, and it can outspeed everything in my team even without a Scarf. But it cannot switch into Mega Pidgeot. His best switching is Heatran, which HP Ground decimates, especially if it's not specially defensive or lacks a Sugar Berry, which I kind of do expect a Sugar Berry. I think actually his best switch-in or switch-ins is either a specially defensive or Assault Vest Thundurus, or especially defensive or Assault Vest Tentacruel. But just based on the way that he preps, I've kind of scouted him out in his few matches in the National Pokeball League and also in the Major Pokemon League, and I don't find that he's not the type of person to run those kind of sets. I definitely think that a Shuckleberry Heatran, or maybe even an Air Balloon Heatran, is definitely going to be his stop to it, which I'm totally fine with because I will be packing the HP ground. Aside from that, Superior was a thought for this week, but I don't know why I didn't really necessarily know why I didn't bring it. It's like really big threat, and again, the only thing that outspeeds it is Noivern, which isn't really a counter because Superior is pretty bulky. You can take a hit, and I can just run HP ground for Tran. Also, Ambipom outspeeds it. I didn't expect Ambipom at all, but still. But I just kind of thought it was the thing that maybe he would over-prep for. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should have brought it, but I'm spoiler, so I don't end up bringing it. But it is very threatening to his team. The other things that I absolutely need to bring, I am absolutely going to need to bring Rotom Heat because it is my only stop to Thundurus. Look at my team, look at a mixed Life Orb Thundurus, and it's awful. A Nasty Plot Thundurus is also something that I've seen in test battles a lot. But my biggest, just straight offensive powerhouse threat to his team, I believe to be my Blaziken. And I have a very special Blaziken set that I will be showing once we hop over to Showdown to look at the team. But its coverage in general, just its stabs, put so much of a hurt on his team, minus the Gliscor. Snorlax was an option, but he has dual Fighting Core that I do expect him to bring. And Garchomp and Jirachi both have just pretty good overall offensive matchups, being able to outspeed a lot of his team. One thing in particular about his team is he has the Mega Gallade, the Thundurus T, and the Noivern. I'm not counting Ambipom because I don't think it's likely to come at all, but I think those other three are pretty likely to come. But after those three, there's just a huge drop-off in his speed. His next fastest thing is Gliscor, and I have a plethora of things that, I mean, not necessarily a plethora, but a good amount of things in both Garchomp and Jirachi, which will really outspeed the remainder of his team. So those are looking very nice. But, yeah, I think that's enough babbling in this regard, and we can go hop over to Showdown. Alright, so right here we have, as I talked about, one of the biggest threats to his team. We have Katrina, the Mega Pidgeot, with obviously the Pidgeotite Big Pex, because it's the only useful pre-Mega ability on his team. Hurricane for the main stab. Hidden Power Ground to hit the Heatran. Protect, because, one, it lets me scout things, like the Heatran, or even like the Noivern, possibly, if he does bring a choice variant, as I know that he likes doing that. And then also Work Up to be able to boost that, because if I do believe him to not be a Air Balloon or Shuckleberry Heatran, I can then Work Up on the switching and just start OHKOing his entire team. It's enough speed for Ambipom, just in case he brings that. Protect is also really nice because it lets me dodge Fake Out from the Ambipom. I have 36 HP EVs to live one hit. I think that it might be a Specs Noivern Draco Meteor. Or I think that's it. I could be wrong, but I made this team a while ago, but I do believe that's what it is to live, and overall, as I talked about in the preview, this is just a huge offensive and speed threat to his team. Next, we have my Stealth Rocker this week, which I don't think I've brought Stealth Rocking Jirachi yet, but I'm really excited about this set. It's Icy Wind, Stealth Rock, Hidden Power Ground, Psyshock, enough speed to outspeed a max speed offensive Gliscor, because I think that's something he could bring. I've seen offensive Gliscor in almost every single mock battle that I've had. HP Ground to hit Heatran, and then I have a Colbur Berry and Psyshock, because that will help me lure both the Mega Gallade and the Conkeldurr, because he can try to knock me off. It even is a pretty safe switch into Conkeldurr, because a Drain Punch won't do too much damage, as I do have a little bit of HP investment, and also if he does decide to knock off, I'm going to safe switch in, and Psyshock does like 85% to it or something like that, so assuming he's not like max defense. So this is looking pretty good for luring those two threats, getting Stealth Rocks up to hurt things such as the Noivern, and so that thing can't be an effective pivot around my team as it has been in his past matchups. And overall, Jirachi's there to take some hits, deal them back, slow down, get chip damage on things, and get rocks up. Thunderous also rocks are going to be really nice for the Thunderous. So next we have always the Togekiss, pretty much max defense, as this is my only reliable fighting switch-in. If his Conkeldurr comes out, if his Gallade comes out, and it's early game, 100%, my first switch-in is going to be straight into my Togekiss. Pretty much max defense. I'm not 2-hit KO'd by an Ice Punch from either one. I have the Hidden Power Ice, because it, number one, takes out the Noivern, and also 2-hit KOs almost any kind of spread of Gliscor. So it's a very good Gliscor counter. As the only, unless he is running Swords Dance Stone Edge, which I really haven't seen in mock battles, because usually Togekiss is something with a Gliscor you can pretty much set up on, but not with HP Ice. So that's why I have that. Defog, because I need it for my Rotom Heat, and for that to take on my Rotom Heat, so it can take on his Thundurus better, and also my Togekiss itself, so it can take on the Fighting Core, and then also so Katrina can have more switches. I'd almost call the Mega Pidgeot Hurricane, but that's literally all it does, so it makes sense. Next we have Nemesis, the Garchomp, with the Yache Berry, sub-SD. Again, I really like sub-SD Garchomp, because it eases prediction games with ground immunities, is the main part of it, and also Swords Dance is just an option for this team. I'm not entirely sure, but I have had a couple of test games where I've just swept with this monster, and the Yache Berry is going to be nice for luring the Thundurus. I don't believe I was actually naive in the game. I believe I was jolly. At one point, I was running a mixed Garchomp, so if that got messed up, whoops. But it doesn't matter in the battle, so I'll just tell you that right now. Next, we have Kentucky, the Blaziken, and I am so excited for this set. So, the moves are High Jump Kick, Hidden Power Ice, Flare Blitz, and Earthquake with the Shuka Berry, and oh my god, this does so much work. So the Earthquake is wonderful because it can, it's a safer move against the Heatran. It can also hit the Tentacle very hard, because if he brings it, that's going to be my prediction for his initial switch into Blaziken. It has enough speed to outspeed what is like standard speedy Tentacruel, and it has the special attack investment to pretty much always 2-hit KO a Gliscor with HP Ice. So max speed one could be a nuisance, but I have the Shuka Berry to hopefully lure the Gliscor if that is one of his switch-ins into it, especially if it's a defensive one. He comes in on one of my other moves, and then I 2-hit KO it with the HP Ice. High Jump Kick hits things like Heatran and Umbreon especially, which could be a nuisance to the rest of my team. And then Hidden Power Ice, obviously for that. It can also hit Noivern if I predict that to switch in, because if he doesn't bring that, Noivern could actually switch into that, so that could be a thing. And then Flare Blitz is an overall safe move, and also if I predict the Celebi to come in predicting one of my other moves, that's a thing, and it's also just generally good stab, and I don't have to risk missing with High Jump Kick. So that's that, and then finally we have OTP, Order the Phoenix, my Rotom Heat with the leftovers, pretty much max Spadef, so that I can take on Thundurus the best that I can, because it's really a nuisance to my team, as electric types have shown to be as I face the other Thundurus early on. Also, 44 defense EVs, it's some benchmark, I think 2 Stealth Rock switch-ins and like a max attack Life Orb superpower can't kill me. Something like that. But anyways, that's my team, and to have some general insights into the matchup, I will go into the match right now. Alright, so here we are with the battle. As you can see, I am on the other side, but Cipher did generously pass me this recording, so I can't complain at all, as I do not have a capture card, but just so you know when you're watching the battle so you're not confused. So thank him for that. Also, I know it's mid-video, but if you're still watching, shout out to Rizzy Powell for genning my mons, as has become habitual when I've played on Wi-Fi. I've become actually really good friends with him, and he is a great guy who produces some fantastic content, and although he's not having such a hot season this season in the NPL, but from his videos, if you do watch him, and his success in the TBU, and also pretty good success in the GPC, and former champion of the major Pokemon League, he's a very good battler and puts out some fantastic content. So go watch him, do it. But just straight into matchup, nothing too surprising. The Noivern was the only thing that maybe I was slightly surprised. Kind of expected something like the Celebi, or the Umbreon in its place, but alas, it's there, and I feel pretty good about everything else. Noivern, honestly, looking one of the scarier things, especially so if like all I had left, if my Togekiss, my Rotom, and my Jirachi are weakened or killed, I lose to that. So that is a lot for it to happen, but like I could really lose to Noivern. So sorry for the darkening, but it is fixed now. And the battle will be starting when it does. I actually don't know where the battle is. Oh, okay. There's a long team preview. Oh boy. When's it going to start? I don't want to skip anything. I'm going to pause it. I'll be right back. Alright, so here we are. Excuse my inability to accurately use Windows Media Player. But here we are. I am issuing the challenge, and he just leads straight off with the Noivern, as I lead off with my Rotom Heat because he doesn't really have a Volt Switch immunity besides the Gliscor, and I have HP Ice for that, so Volt Switch is just definitely my safest play. I do kind of think that Conkeldurr is his switch-in, so that's the reason I didn't run Will-O-Wisp on my Rotom. I didn't want to be able to just risk Wisping this when it seemed like the most obvious switch-in. From the damage, it definitely looks Assault Vest, and I do pretty much nothing to it, so that's the thing. And I just go straight up to my Mega Pidgeot, as he has not good switch-ins to this, and I can either weaken Heatran, and see what kind of set it's running, which I really am excited for. But he switches into Gliscor, which I don't really expect at all. I don't really understand that play necessarily. But he made it. And you're going to see right here something. Maybe it's Spadef Gliscor, and it could take it pretty well, and then Protect, and then live a next one. That's pretty much how it is. But boom! He lives on 2 HP, and I'm just going to take it out with another one. I had a brief pause in the battle making the move, because I was like, if he brought this in, is that a Scarf Gliscor? But I was like, you know what, whatever. He probably won't. He doesn't have a good chance of killing me with Stone Edge anyway, if it was. So I was like, whatever. And then right here, you see that little air balloon text? I didn't see it again. I knew better than to risk, HP ground there anyway, but just so hilarious given last week's battle that I didn't see it there. I do see it the second time though, so improving my vision. Thanks, Jolt. I'm taking those classes, but he gets up his rocks as I switch into Blaziken, and right here he switches into his Noivern, and I knew Noivern was his only switch into Blaziken to either of my stabs. I almost clicked HP Ice. If I had clicked HP Ice, this game would have been a snack wrap, but I don't. I just go for the safe high jump kick because I'm a lame player. Because I did go for it because I didn't want to go for Earthquake and give this thing a completely free switch in, but, that does a lot of damage. Like, that's almost a 2-hit KO. I was really impressed, but I know better than to stay in here, and I can take either a Hurricane or a Dragon move perfectly fine. Oh, God. Excuse the yawn there. He misses the Hurricane. It really doesn't do much, as he's not Specs. If he was Specs, it might have mattered, but he's not. So that's what happens there. And right here, I should have gone for Stealth Rocks. It was a boneheaded play. Because he missed, I couldn't gauge the damage, so I didn't want to risk it being like Expert Belt or something and him getting a couple flamethrowers off. But really, Stealth Rocks would have been much more important to this game for me, and it was not worth risking it. But I did, and that was not a good play on my part. Anyways, HP Ice does nothing, but I do pop the Air Balloon, which allows me to go into my Garchomp here. As he goes for the Ancient Power, predicting Rotom Heat is my assumption, because Rotom Heat's actually a pretty good switch into this, so I guess that was a pretty fair play. But right here, I don't know what he's going to do, so he could predict the Earthquake and go straight to Noivern, or Thunderous, so I'm going to set up a substitute, and he brings in his Conkeldurr, and I go for the Earthquake, and it does 2-hit KO range, and he makes a misplay here. He really shouldn't have gone for the Ice Punch, assuming he had the Drain Punch, because Rough Skin doesn't do anything behind the sub, and there's no way I'm switching out there, and had he Drain Punched and gotten the necessary hit points back, he could have lived this next Earthquake, so I do think that was a little bit of a mixed play. I'm not sure really how it would have affected the match. Not too much, I don't think. Actually, could have ended up being worse for him, because then I might have been able to go to the Togekiss and get off a Defog early game. But I don't necessarily know. I didn't theory on it too much. But he goes into here, and I'm like, oh, he has HP Ice. Got to get out, because even though I do have my Yachi Berry, I want to save it, because Chomp can hurt his team a lot still. But he just goes straight for Nasty Plot, which I'm like, oh, that's a really good play. But I don't know what he's going to do my Rotom, so I'm just going to go for an Overheat and try to get as much good damage as I can on this as possible. But then he goes for the Hidden Power, and it ends up being a neutral Hidden Power, and he gets a crit. Now, I'm going to pause real quick. So, I believe, wait, let me go back real quick. It's not very effective. Okay, no. So that was HP Ice. So he actually did have HP Ice, but he didn't know he had HP Ice. He thought he had HP Rock. So given that's the case, I really disagree with his play of nasty plotting on my Garchomp, as if I just stayed in Dragon Clawed, like, he would have been in a really, really, really bad spot. I don't know, it just doesn't make much sense to me. I guess it worked out for him, but it should have been HP Rock. But as you could have seen, the crit non-super effective damage would have done about as much, almost as much as a neutral Hidden Power would have, and then if you double that, like, I'm still in green, so I definitely wouldn't have died to a Hidden Power Rock anyways, and I would have gotten this overheat damage off regardless, so I really don't think that that mattered too much. And now he's for sure in range, even with the Citrus Berry, which does come out here. I'm still in an okay position because he's able to be 2-hit KO'd by Jirachi, and he can't do anything that will OHKO Jirachi at +2. Because Jirachi's still at max, but he goes for a Dark Pulse here, and he gets a crit. So that crit, so it sucks that that Gening Air happened for him, but the crit really makes up for anything that would have happened there, so I don't feel too bad about it. And it is nice for the game to give him some justice there. So right here, he goes for the Dark Pulse, but because of my Colbur Berry, not coming into play how I planned it, but after seeing the Dark Pulse, I knew that this is the play. I had to make it praying, and he didn't flinch me. If he flinched me here, it was GG, game over, because he was out of range of Mega Pidgeot's Hurricane. The nice thing, if he didn't have the Citrus Berry, he would have been range of Hurricane, and I wouldn't have had to make this play, but I'm going to build an Icy Wind him and put him at a low amount of health, and I'm just going to go for the Psyshock here in case he wants to try to make a cheeky switch and do something else. Maybe Icy Wind. I think probably another Icy Wind would have been a safer play because I could have possibly... you could have tricked him that I'm Scarfed and got more damage off on other things, but he just goes into his Glade, and I'm not sure if I played around this the best I could, just firing off Psyshocks. Well, right here, I definitely would have made that play. I don't know if switching out here... No, sacking my Jirachi was definitely the right play. I just get this off for Psyshock damage. I'm still faster after he Mega Evolves, which I'm a little confused about. I don't necessarily know. I get a crit, it doesn't matter. Right here is when I start misplaying a little bit. Because I saw that his Mega Gallade was outsped by my Jirachi, I should have gone straight into Garchomp. That was 100% the best play. Should have gone straight into Garchomp and fired off a Dragon Claw. But I don't do that, and that really hurts me, as right here, I just take him out with the Air Slash and get unnecessary damage off on my Togekiss, which this is weakening my last good switch, my last good check to his Noivern. So that was a really, really, really bad play on my part. I had no reason not to go to Garchomp there. It's just that in my head, I know that Mega Gallade is base 110 speed, and he should have ran more speed on this, honestly, on it. So I was just, in my head, that's what happened, but I go for the HP Ice here. But he's able to take me out with the Hurricane. And now from that, I'm just at this point, it's really going to come down to one thing. He only has Heatran and Noivern left at this point, and right here, I was kind of a 50-50. I really thought he would just go for Hurricane there, which I think was his better play, but he preserves it, which also, I don't know, could have been a better play. There's a lot of theory mining to this, depending on what his Noivern set was, because I don't know that yet. He does. So, I go for the Hurricane, going for the HP Ground, and take him out. So, I'm just going to spoil it now. His Noivern is Scarf. Now, I think that was really the wrong set to bring. I'm just going to pause it here. Scarf was really the wrong set to bring against my team. Without a Scarf, he would have outsped my entire team. I guess it was good for opposing Scarfers, but I still just really disagree with it. And because he's Scarf and not Life Orb or something along those lines, his Hurricane will not be able to take out my Mega Pidgeot, and so unless he gets a Confusion, he will lose to my Mega Pidgeot's Hurricane, which he does not, and my Pidgeot's Hurricane will be able to take him out. Now, the one thing I do have to say is that even if he was something like Specs, he would have needed to be pretty much Specs Hurricane to have a chance of winning the game there. He would have had to hit 3 Hurricanes in a row. At that point, right, yes, he would have had to hit 3 Hurricanes in a row because the last 3 members of my team, Pidgeot, Garchomp, Blaziken, I had the HP Ice on Blaziken, so that would have OHKO'd him. So, I do kind of think that, yeah, I have no idea what I was going to say. So I think yeah, I now know what I was. So even if he was like Specs Hurricane or even Life Orbed Hurricane, Life Orbed would have been a little scarier, I guess. Maybe not really. He would have needed Hurricane all 3 times because if he Draco Meteored my Garchomp to take it out, then Blaziken could have lived. So odds were really in my favor at that point, but it definitely would have been a lower differential and a lot scarier. But turns out he was Scarf as he's brought in past weeks, and my Pidgeot's able to take him out with my own Hurricane. Mega Pidgeot racking up 3 kills this season, definitely the MVP, or this game, definitely the MVP of this game, and is now at like 7-2 for the season, which is really, really nice. Putting in a lot of work. But anyways, that's the video. That's my game versus Cipher. We come up with a 3-0 victory. We improve for the 2nd season in a row to 4-0 plus 13 exactly. This is where I was last season, but let's hope, unlike last season, that we get a 5th win and don't choke away our divisional match versus the Florida for Alligators and Top Tier Boy. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you check out Cypher's channel, Riz's channel. I'll make sure to link Riz this time. I don't think I did it last time because I'm bad. But anyways, I'm Togevoir, you're yourself. I hope you did. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace!